Supreme Magus, web novel, chapter 418, present part 2. The moment Lith imprinted the green stick, a flower made of flames bloomed from its tip. Tista had never seen something like it, mostly because it was a reproduction down to the smallest detail of a double-flowered Camellia japonica from Earth. With a series of mana sparks, Lith made it turn snow white, ice blue, midnight black, sunny yellow, chestnut brown, and red again. It's the perfect compromise. Lith offered the flower to Tista to let her examine it. It's almost as cheap as a flower but has the cool allure of magic. On Mogar there were no greenhouses. The only available flowers were the wild ones or those which people grew in their own garden. Only nobles could afford a gardener, and even then, they only cultivated plants that could thrive in their region. It was the reason why flowers were considered a cheap present. With the money necessary to buy dimensional items or get access to warp gates, it would be more convenient to buy a house rather than export plants. Also, I chose materials that can't hold the imprint for long. In less than a week, the magic stored will dissipate and I made it so that the visual effect will resemble the withering of a flower. This way, she has to tend to it like it's the real deal. The idea behind my creation is that if she likes it, every time she recharges it or changes the element stored, she is likely to think about you. Tista cut him short while moving her hand over the fiery flower. It was ethereal and barely warm. Do you like it? Lith asked with a smug grin. This is the most romantic thing I have ever seen. What is it called? Camellia. Lith had no imagination for names, so he stuck with the original one. You named it after her? You've known her for less than a week. More like I picked a flower that reminded me of her name. He thought. First, if you give her something like this, you might as well add a betrothal gift. This is too much for a second date. Heck, maybe even for a 10th one. Tista stared in awe at the multiple layers of petals and the hues of color each one had. I said the same thing, but he is too damn stubborn. Solis sighed. Second, I resent that you've never made something this cute for Mom, Rena, or I yet you invented this camellia for a complete stranger. Tista said with an angry voice. Those words struck hard at Lith, to the point that Solis intervened in outrage. That's really unfair of you, Tista. You are the reason why Lith became a healer in the first place. He took care of you when you were ill, gave you the best cuts of meat even if he was still hungry, made sure you always had fur clothes. Have you forgotten the toys he made for you? Like the rocking chair? It was actually a swing. See early chaps, or that the house you live in, just like the clothes you wear all come from his hard work. He did a lot for you, kid. Tista lowered her gaze feeling ashamed of herself. Her rage disappeared like a bubble. I'm sorry, lil brother. I didn't mean it that way. I guess I'm just jealous of your talent and of Camilla's luck. I've never received anything like this from any of my dates. It's beautiful, maybe even too much. Why are you jealous? It's just a trick, Lith said trying to console her as 5 different kinds of elemental flowers bloomed on his fingertips while a 6th one bloomed on his palm. It may be just a trick, but the thought behind it is quite deep. I wouldn't give it to her so soon. She tried to mimic him, but her flowers either looked like crumpled origami or as someone had stomped on them. I've been awakened since I was 4, it's just a matter of experience with first magic. He shrugged. Okay, let's put the camellia aside. Then what the heck should I give her? I guess you were forced to go with flowers. Everything else would feel like you're showing off your magic or trying too hard. She is from Belius. Based on your stories, there isn't much green there. Bringing her a mixed bouquet is the safest route, Tista replied. Lith pondered Tista's words while the girls talked about their respective travel plans. He left them alone and went to study the purple crystal stored in the tower basement. The empowered abomination's attempt to retrieve it was proof of the crystal's value. He tried to activate the pathways marked by the master's device with little success. The crystal rejected Lith's personal mana even in the form of spirit magic. The only way he had to interact with it was by manipulating the world energy as the gemstone absorbed it to further its growth. It was a delicate process. If Lith applied too much pressure, the world energy would be tainted by his mana and expelled from the crystal. Too little and it would wander off the pathways producing no effect. Good grief, this may take months of focused practice. I don't have that much time, at least not right now. Lith sighed. After returning home, he finally had the time and the privacy necessary to make the call. Once again, Camilla had the hologram disabled. Lith took it as a bad sign. Sorry for calling you this late. I didn't want to bother you again while you were at work. He said. Why are you apologizing? I'm the one who asked you to call me. She didn't sound upset or uncomfortable. Is everything okay at home? How did your parents react to the news? Oh great one. Camilla chuckled. Better than okay. Everyone is happy as a clam. They accepted the change much better than I did. Sorry if I freaked you out earlier. With all I've been through in my life, I've become a hopeless pessimist. The higher a commoner gets, the bigger a target he becomes. Sadly, I know what you mean. Let's not talk about sad things, though. I was thinking, would you like to go to a music restaurant for our second date or would you prefer a more classic location? She brought up the date topic on her own. I'm safe. Lith clenched his fist in triumph. What's a music restaurant? It's a new kind of establishment that's becoming quite popular in the north. They offer live music to their customers. The brave ones can even take part in the show. It's more expensive than a regular restaurant, because they have to be magically soundproofed and enchanted so that everyone can talk and listen without going deaf. Told you so, Solis gloated. She recognized you from the receptionist's description. My dear Ebenezer Scrooge. Lith cursed Xylo's bloodline out to the 7th generation before replying. Sounds interesting, I'd be glad to give it a try. My treat this time, I'm the one that got promoted. Still daring even after the Hoggies fiasco? Sweet. The hologram popped up. Camila was dressed normally, but she was dabbing her hair with a bath towel. The steam in the background was a clear sign she had just finished bathing. That and the way her shirt stuck to her body like a second skin made Lith's usually cold heart quicken its pace.